You're not gonna make me feel bad. I like the way I dress, and...
Okay, Morris. I'm sorry this is such a slow night.
Hello, and if you're anything like me, you already know in your heart that Everybody Loves Raymond is one of the greatest, most warmly beloved sitcoms ever to grace our television screens. For 9 incredible seasons, this show made us laugh, made us cringe, and somehow made us feel like the Barone family was living right across the street from us. So today, pull up your favorite chair, get comfortable, and let's revisit this timeless classic together as we look at the entire cast. Then and now, in 2026, because the stories behind these actors are filled with triumph, heartbreak, and surprises you will not want to miss. Ray Romano, Ray Barone.
Because I got some on your pillow, too.
Ray Romano was born on December 21st, 1957, in the Forest Hills neighborhood of Queens, New York City, the third of 3 sons born to Lucy, a piano teacher, and Albert Romano, an engineer and real estate agent who also dabbled in real estate. Forest Hills in the late 1950s and through the 1960s was a neighborhood of closely packed houses, closely packed families, and the kind of communal, overlapping daily life where everybody knew everybody else's business, whether they wanted to or not. A world where the boundaries between one family's story and the next were permanently and cheerfully blurred. For a boy growing up with the particular sensibility that Ray Romano was quietly developing, it was, in retrospect, the perfect classroom. The Romano household was loud, it was warm, it was opinionated, affectionate, occasionally smothering, and entirely impossible to leave without being fed. It was, in other words, a household that any devoted fan of Everybody Loves Raymond will recognize immediately and completely, because that household, that specific texture of Italian-American family life, with all of its love and all of its chaos and all of the complicated, beautiful, exhausting intimacy it produced, would one day become the beating heart of the entire Barone family universe. Ray Romano did not have to imagine the world of his show. He simply had to remember it. He attended Hillcrest High School in Queens, where he was, by his own account, a reasonably unremarkable student with no particular sense of what his future might hold. He later enrolled at Queens College of the City University of New York, where he initially pursued a degree in accounting, a choice that speaks to the practical, grounded instincts of a young man raised in a working family, a young man who wanted to be responsible, insensible, and secure. But comedy, as it always does with the people it truly claims, proved far too persistent and far too loud to be quietly filed away behind spreadsheets and balance sheets. He left accounting behind and never looked back. He played the character Ray Barone in the series when he was 38 years old in 1996. Ray Barone, sports writer for Newsday, devoted if perpetually bewildered husband to Deborah, father of 3 children he loved with his whole heart and occasionally hid from behind a newspaper, and a grown adult man who was constitutionally, almost cosmically incapable of putting 30 feet of physical distance between himself and his mother, was not so much a character Romano inhabited as a character Romano simply was. The show was built directly from the foundation of his stand-up material, drawing openly and generously from the realities of his marriage to his wife Anna, his relationships with his children, and above all the particular, inescapable, deeply familiar gravitational pull of his own parents. Every joke landed the way it did because every joke was true. That is not a small thing. That is, in fact, everything. Before Everybody Loves Raymond rewrote his life entirely, Romano had spent the better part of a decade grinding the stand-up comedy circuit with the stubborn, unglamorous determination of a man who has no backup plan. He performed in clubs across New York and beyond, accumulating the kind of stage experience that no shortcut can replicate, building his craft joke by joke and show by show until the material was airtight and the timing was second nature. The turning point arrived in 1995 when he performed on The Late Show with David Letterman, a set that was seized by CBS executive Les Moonves, who recognized immediately what he was looking at and moved swiftly to build an entire television series around this one Queens-born man with the tired eyes and the perfect timing. The rest, as they say, is television history. 9 seasons, 210 episodes, and a permanent place in the cultural memory of an entire generation. After the show came to its much-mourned conclusion in 2005, Romano demonstrated something that not every beloved sitcom star manages to pull off: he evolved. He moved into dramatic territory with a confidence and an ease that surprised some observers and delighted many more, earning genuine critical admiration for his performance in the TNT series Men of a Certain Age, and later for his nuanced recurring work on the critically acclaimed NBC drama Parenthood. He proved, without making any particular fuss about it, that the man audiences had laughed at for 9 years was a considerably deeper and more versatile performer than even his most devoted fans had fully realized. He has continued to work in film and stand-up in the years since, each project adding another quiet layer to a career that was already remarkable before it was even half finished. Currently, Ray Romano is living happily at the age of 68. And every few years, reliably and warmly, the internet fills with reunion rumors, which is, when you think about it, the most fitting tribute of all.
White Pants signed me to a development.
Patricia Heaton, Deborah Barone.
You're not gonna make me feel bad. I like the way I dress and...
Patricia Heaton was born on March 4th, 1958, in Bay Village, Ohio, the daughter of Patricia, a homemaker, and Chuck Heaton, a sports writer for the Cleveland Plain Dealer. She was one of 5 children in a devout Catholic family, a faith she has carried proudly throughout her entire life and career. After her mother passed away from a brain aneurysm when Patricia was just 12 years old, the Heaton children were largely raised by their father, an experience that gave her both resilience and depth far beyond her years. She played the character Deborah Barone in the series when she was 38 years old in 1996. Deborah, sharp-tongued, fiercely intelligent, exhausted by her in-laws, and deeply in love with a man who still hadn't quite grown up, became one of the most relatable wives in sitcom history. Heaton won 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series for the role, in 2000 and again in 2001, making her one of the most decorated actresses of her generation in the comedy space. What many viewers don't realize is how hard Patricia Heaton fought to even get to that point. Before her breakthrough, she spent years on the New York theater circuit, appearing in off-Broadway productions and struggling through the kind of financial uncertainty that would break most people. She reportedly even enrolled in acting classes taught by William Esper to sharpen her craft during some of her leaner years in the city. Following Everybody Loves Raymond, Heaton headlined another long-running ABC sitcom, The Middle, where she played Frankie Heck for 9 seasons from 2009 to 2018, proving that her Emmy wins were no accident and that audiences simply cannot get enough of her. She has also become one of Hollywood's most outspoken Christian voices, using her platform to advocate for causes she believes in deeply. Currently, Patricia Heaton is living happily at the age of 67, and she remains one of the most respected comedians in the history of American television.
And to see everybody again, it was very.
Brad Garrett, Robert Barone.
Okay? I'm sorry this is such a slow night.
Brad Garrett was born on April 14, 1960, in Woodland Hills, California, the son of Judai and Maximilian Gerstenfeld. Standing at 6 feet 8 inches tall, Garrett was always destined to stand out in a room, though his towering height turned out to be just one of the many weapons in his considerable comic arsenal. He discovered his love of performance early, competing in stand-up comedy competitions as a teenager and winning the prestigious San Francisco International Comedy Competition in 1984 at just 24 years old. He played the character Robert Barone in the series when he was 36 years old in 1996. Robert, Ray's perpetually overlooked, chronically unlucky, romantically catastrophic older brother, was perhaps the show's secret weapon. Where Ray was the everyman, Robert was the tragicomic heart, a man forever standing in his younger brother's shadow, while somehow managing to be the funniest person in every room he entered. Garrett won 3 Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series for the role, a record that speaks entirely for itself. Before Everybody Loves Raymond, Garrett had already built a remarkable career as a voice actor, most notably providing the iconic voice of Hulk Hogan's cartoon counterpart, and lending his deep, unmistakable baritone to dozens of animated projects. His voice work for the character of Bloat in Pixar's Finding Nemo also introduced him to an entirely new generation of fans. After the show, Garrett continued performing stand-up comedy and appeared in a number of television and film projects, including his own short-lived sitcom, Till Death. He has also been open over the years about personal struggles, including his divorce from Jill Divin in 2007 after 14 years of marriage, a difficult period he has spoken about with characteristic honesty and dry humor. Currently, Brad Garrett is living happily at the age of 65, still one of the most recognizable faces, and certainly the most recognizable voice in Hollywood. Doris Roberts, Marie Barone.
Subject matter?
Doris Roberts was born on November 4th, 1925, in St. Louis, Missouri, though the city of her birth was never quite the city of her story. When her parents separated while she was still very young, Doris moved with her mother Anne to the Bronx, New York, and it was there, in that dense, vivid, unforgiving borough, that the woman she would become was quietly and steadily shaped. Her father, Larry Green, was largely absent throughout her childhood, a void that could have defined her in one direction, but instead seemed to forge in her something harder and more durable than bitterness, a fierce, clarifying self-reliance, and an equally fierce appreciation for the women who stayed. Her mother Anne and her maternal grandmother became the twin pillars of her early life, two strong, unsentimental, deeply loving women who between them gave Doris everything she needed and asked for very little in return. Decades later, when audiences watched Doris Roberts bring Marie Barone to life with such uncanny authenticity, that particular brand of overpowering maternal love that expresses itself most naturally through interference, guilt, and the strategic deployment of a home-cooked meal, it was impossible not to wonder how much of those two Bronx women lived somewhere inside the performance. From childhood, Doris was drawn to the stage with a certainty that brooked no real argument. She made her way to the neighborhood Playhouse School of the Theater in New York City, where she studied under the legendary Sanford Meisner, one of the most influential acting teachers of the 20th century, a man whose method demanded of his students total emotional honesty and an almost ruthless commitment to the truth of each moment. It was a rigorous, demanding education, and Doris absorbed it completely. She emerged from it not as a performer who decorated a scene from the outside, but as one who inhabited it from the inside out, a distinction that would quietly define every role she ever played for the next 7 decades. She played the character Marie Barone in the series when she was 70 years old in 1996. 70 years old, beginning what would become the defining role of an already extraordinary career, bringing to life a woman who has since taken up permanent residence in the collective memory of American television. Marie Barone was the master architect of domestic manipulation, the undisputed sovereign of the kitchen, the woman who loved her sons, Ray especially, always Ray, with a ferocity so overwhelming that love and suffocation became, in her capable hands, virtually indistinguishable from one another. She was, on the surface, maddening. She was, underneath everything, utterly devoted. And Doris Roberts played both of those truths simultaneously, with a precision and a layered intelligence that made audiences laugh at Marie and love her in the very same breath, which is one of the most difficult things a performer can be asked to do, and one of the rarest things you will ever see done this well. She won 4 Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a comedy series for the role. 4. A staggering, almost humbling accumulation of recognition that places her, without any reasonable debate, among the greatest performers in the history of American television comedy. What makes that achievement even more remarkable is the career that existed before Marie Barone ever appeared on a single television screen. Doris Roberts had been working, seriously, consistently, brilliantly working, for decades before Everybody Loves Raymond. She received her first Emmy nomination as early as 1969 for her work on the daytime drama Days of Our Lives, a reminder of just how far back her excellence extends. Over the years that followed, she built a filmography of quiet depth and remarkable range, appearing in memorable roles in the series Angie, in Remington Steele alongside Pierce Brosnan, and on the big screen in the beloved National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, among dozens of other credits accumulated across a career that most actresses would have considered a complete and fulfilled life's work even without a single episode of Everybody Loves Raymond attached to it. Sadly, Doris Roberts passed away on April 17, 2016, in her sleep, at the age of 90 at a hotel in Los Angeles, California. She went peacefully, which feels right for a woman who had given so much for so long, and who had by any measure earned her rest many times over. Her castmates were shattered. Ray Romano released a statement describing her simply as a queen, 2 words that somehow said everything. Brad Garrett said she was the strongest woman he had ever known, which, coming from a man who had stood beside her on a set for 9 years and watched her work day after day, carries considerable weight. She was a woman who never stopped showing up, never stopped working, never stopped giving every audience she ever played to absolutely everything she had. The world of television is considerably quieter without her. But Marie Barone, impossible, magnificent, irreplaceable Marie Barone, will live for as long as people are still laughing, which is to say she will live forever. Peter Boyle, Frank Barone.
Languages. And all around the world, each and every...
Peter Boyle was born on October 18, 1935, in Norristown, Pennsylvania, and raised in a devout Irish Catholic household in Philadelphia, a city that has always had a particular talent for producing men of strong convictions, strong opinions, and an absolute unwillingness to pretend otherwise. His father, Peter Boyle Sr., was a television personality in Philadelphia, which meant that young Peter grew up with performance not as a distant, glamorous abstraction, but as something concrete and daily, something that happened in the real world to real people he actually knew. That proximity to the craft planted a seed early, though the path from that seed to a professional stage would prove to be anything but direct. Before Peter Boyle ever appeared in front of a camera or delivered a line to a paying audience, he spent several years living as a Christian brother, a member of a Catholic religious teaching order dedicated to education and service. It was a serious considered commitment from a serious considered young man, and the fact that he ultimately chose to leave that life behind in pursuit of acting speaks to the depth of the pull that performance had on him. Not a whim, but a genuine and unavoidable vocation. He made his way to New York City and enrolled at the Actors Studio, placing himself in the company of the most rigorously committed performers of his generation, and subjecting himself to a discipline of craft that would inform every role he ever played, from the most dramatically intense to the most gloriously comedic. He played the character Frank Barone in the series when he was 60 years old, in 1996. Frank, the magnificently grumbling, perpetually irritated, deeply sarcastic, and somehow entirely lovable patriarch of the Barone household, became one of the most iconic television fathers of his era. He was a man for whom warmth was not so much absent as permanently disguised, a man who expressed love most fluently through complaint, and whose default resting expression suggested he had recently been informed of something deeply disappointing and was still processing it. In lesser hands, Frank could have been merely unpleasant. In Peter Boyle's hands, he was irresistible. And the chemistry between Boyle and Doris Roberts, that extraordinary, combustible, perfectly calibrated partnership between Frank and Marie, was lightning in a bottle, a comic pairing so natural and so effortlessly alive that it elevated every single scene they shared into something genuinely special. Before Everybody Loves Raymond, Boyle had already assembled a filmography of remarkable range and depth. His portrayal of the volatile Joe Curran in the 1970 film, Joe made him a countercultural icon virtually overnight. He brought unforgettable life to the monster in Mel Brooks's beloved Young Frankenstein, and appeared alongside Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver, demonstrating in project after project a versatility that few performers of any generation could match. He was also, in his private life, a man of quietly extraordinary dimensions, close friends with John Lennon and best man at Lennon's private wedding ceremony to Yoko Ono in 1969, a detail that says everything about the kind of remarkable, full, and genuinely lived life Peter Boyle led beyond the camera. Sadly, Peter Boyle passed away on December 12, 2006, at the age of 71, at New York Presbyterian Hospital in New York City, following a long and difficult struggle with multiple myeloma and heart disease. He was survived by his wife, journalist Lorraine Alterman, whom he had married in 1977, and their 2 daughters, Lucy and Amy. His passing left a void in the show, in Hollywood, and in the hearts of every person who had ever laughed at Frank Barone's magnificent, irreplaceable grumpiness. And that, it turns out, is an enormous number of people. Monica Horan, Amy McDougal, Barone.
Well, you were touching food to your chin.
Monica Horan was born on September 22, 1963, in New Haven, Connecticut. She attended New York University's Tisch School of the Arts, where she trained as a serious actress and where she also met the man who would become her husband, Phil Rosenthal, the creator and showrunner of Everybody Loves Raymond. That love story would, in one of Hollywood's most delightful coincidences, eventually bring her to the show itself. She played the character Amy McDougal, sweet, gentle, perpetually flustered, and the long-suffering girlfriend and later wife of Robert Barone, in the series beginning in 1996 when she was 32 years old. Amy was a fan favorite, a woman whose genuine kindness made her almost implausibly lovable in a household full of people who were constitutionally incapable of behaving themselves. The fact that Monica Horan was, in real life, married to the man writing all of those characters added an extra layer of warmth and authenticity to every scene she appeared in. After Everybody Loves Raymond, Monica continued to work in television and theater, and has also been closely involved in the international success of her husband Phil's documentary work, including the beloved Netflix series Somebody Feed Phil. Currently, Monica Horan is living happily at the age of 62, and she remains one of the most genuinely adored figures associated with the Everybody Loves Raymond family. Fred Willard, Hank McDougal.
New York was your lady. We were a little...
Fred Willard was born on September 18, 1933, in Shaker Heights, Ohio, into a family that instilled in him both a strong work ethic and a wonderfully absurdist sense of humor. He attended the Virginia Military Institute before studying acting in New York, and spent years in improvisational comedy troupes, including the legendary Second City, before finding his way to film and television. His gift for playing utterly sincere, blissfully oblivious characters was unlike anything else in American comedy, and it made him one of the most consistently funny performers of the last 50 years. He played the character Hank McDougal, Amy's pompous, lovingly ridiculous father, in the series beginning in 1996 when he was 62 years old. Hank was everything Frank Barone was not: cheerful, oblivious, and absolutely convinced of his own importance in any given room. The scenes between Peter Boyle and Fred Willard crackled with a comedic electricity that fans still talk about to this day. Before Everybody Loves Raymond, Willard had already built a remarkable legacy through his collaborations with director Christopher Guest, appearing in the mockumentary classics This Is Spinal Tap, Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, and A Mighty Wind. Performances so brilliantly committed and so genuinely funny that they alone would have secured his place in comedy history. Sadly, Fred Willard passed away on May 15, 2020, at the age of 86 in Los Angeles, California, of natural causes. His daughter Hope released a statement saying he had died peacefully in his sleep, which felt entirely right for a man who had spent his entire life bringing joy to everyone around him. Jamie Lee Curtis, Rob Reiner, and dozens of other friends and colleagues flooded social media with tributes, each one capturing a different facet of a man who was, by all accounts, exactly as warm and generous in real life as he appeared on screen. Wallis's Georgia Engel, Pat McDougal.
Hank and the kids can't find out I smoke.
Georgia Engel was born on July 28, 1948, in Washington, D.C., the daughter of Benjamin Franklin Engel, a military officer, and Dorothy, a homemaker. Growing up in a disciplined, structured military household somehow produced one of the softest, most sweetly whimsical presences in the history of American television. A contradiction that Georgia herself seemed to find quietly amusing. She trained in musical theater and dance, and her early career included work on Broadway and in regional theater, where she cultivated the delicate, pitch-perfect comic timing that would define every role she ever played. She played the character Pat McDougal, Hank's gentle, endlessly accommodating wife and Amy's devoted mother. In the series beginning in 1996, when she was 47 years old, Pat was the warm counterpart to Hank's bluster, a woman whose soft voice and perpetual goodwill made her at once hilarious and oddly moving. The combination of Georgia Engel and Fred Willard as the McDougalls was a comedy pairing for the ages, and their scenes together were consistently among the most purely delightful in the entire run of the show. Before Everybody Loves Raymond, Engel was already a beloved television figure, best known for her 7-season run as the infinitely sweet Georgette Franklin Baxter on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, a role that earned her 4 Emmy nominations and introduced her distinctive cloud-soft presence to an entire generation of viewers. She later appeared in the long-running stage production of the musical The Drowsy Chaperone, continuing to bring her extraordinary talents to live audiences well into her later years. Sadly, Georgia Engel passed away on April 12, 2019, at the age of 70 in Princeton, New Jersey. The cause of her death was not immediately disclosed by her family, who requested privacy. Her Everybody Loves Raymond castmates were heartbroken, and tributes poured in from across the entertainment world, each one celebrating a woman who had spent 6 decades making people feel, in her presence, as though everything was going to be just fine. The world was considerably gentler with Georgia Engel in it, and there you have it, the extraordinary, moving, and sometimes heartbreaking story of the cast of Everybody Loves Raymond then and now in 2026. This was a show built on love, noisy, imperfect, overwhelming, occasionally infuriating love. And looking back at the people who brought it to life, you see that same quality reflected in every single one of their stories. We remember with deep fondness Doris Roberts, Peter Boyle, Fred Willard, Georgia Engel, all of whom left this world far too soon and left the rest of us a little less entertained, a little less comforted, and a great deal more grateful for every moment they gave us. Now, I want to hear from you. Who was your favorite character from Everybody Loves Raymond? What is it about this show that still holds such a special place in your heart after all these years? Share your memories and your thoughts in the comments section below. And if this video brought you some joy today, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that bell notification so you never miss a single one of our journeys down memory lane. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.